Welcome to Steel Curtain Productions. Please hit the like and subscribe down in the right hand corner. Muchly appreciate to grow the channel where we give you the straight up facts about the team. None of this blow it up or just go run with the story or clickbait, none of that garbage. So this is exactly about the signings we made in the final week going into the Easter weekend. And by the way, happy Easter to all. Hopefully you're enjoying your time with your family and taking the time to seriously meditate and think about what this holiday's about. All right, let's start. Okay, so now we're going to start with the first signing. I think this is becoming, from what I'm seeing at a glance here, is Pittsburgh becoming the Falcons? Because it seems like we're signing an awful lot of Atlantic Falcons. I don't know if that's the recipe for success. Was the Falcons' record a success? Not likely. So I'm a little concerned. I don't like it when you get too carried away with what everybody going to follow the coaches that came from there over to Pittsburgh. Well, that doesn't give us a winning recipe on the field. So we better watch what we're doing now. This Daryl Patterson, special teams return guy. I assume they got him after the rule was made, that change in punt returning. And I can only assume that he's half decent at this. Let's hope, because I hope it's not the case of it's just because of the coaches and the coordinator coming over. We're in big cuckapoo if that's the case, because didn't see a winning record in Atlanta. Sorry. So that there, I'm going to leave it at a for the time being. That's going to go because I don't know any more than that. I'm going along with. Usually, I seem to be on board because I'm old school. I'm not no nonsense. I go by the ratings that matter, and sorry, I tend to agree with a lot of respected um, analysis of these players and what the Steelers have done on the field with the signings at this up until this point, off-season signings, and I'm I'm with a lot of these analysts. I think we got a lot of pump up, which is Tomlin always does that anyway. That's a Tomlin thing. He'll put a good smile on for anybody and make things look a little more positive. Now he manages to get wins, but I don't think just a guy getting wins is enough. I think you got to be looking for the overall picture, and that's winning Super Bowls. So with the Patterson thing, I hope that this guy is as good as he, for us to sign him for punt returning. I hope he amounts to be something half decent. I'll give a C for the time being on that signing. Next signing is punter Cameron Johnston, and he comes from the Texans. I will give him same evaluation. C. Now the Texans had a really good season this year. Again and again, there's so much pumping the tires on this coming from Steelerland that I want to hear it from other places than just Steelerland. Okay, so again, until I see more, no more, I give that a C. That just gives you an even grade. Then we go to QB Kyle Allen, who came from the Buffalo Bills. Unfortunately, no, I would have been excited if I seen a Josh Allen. So two Allens there. I give this a fail. D. I've not heard of this guy much. That speaks volumes. I honestly think we had the opportunity to rectify a problem when we got rid of Dobbs, bring him back. He was much more proven. He had signs there now, especially with a line that can do what the Steelers did this year in improvement on that line. I'd love to see Dobbs behind that line because he was there when we had no line. And he showed great foot talent and great decision making and a good arm. Then I still would have, if I didn't go after Dubs. I think I wouldn't have minded holding on to Rudolph as the third guy, just for his experience. He brings a lot of things to the table as that third guy. So for me, like I say, when I don't hear um, the ratings I want to hear, this looks like it was just a pull on the outside and fill the void, fill a hole. And I find we do that a lot. We seem to just want to plug holes. And I think that's what we did here. So I give that a D. Sorry, maybe even a D minus. That's my evaluation of that. Then we also signed wide receiver. I never heard of a name like this before. Uh, Quez Watkins, sorry. And wide receiver, again, I've been waiting for that big wide receiver uh, improvement from going from, we got rid of a problem, prima donna, Dante Johnson, which was a number 3. We brought in Van Jefferson, who seems to be an all right receiver. Remember, we got rid of another receiver, a couple of Robinson, I believe his name was. So that to me only replaced that at that point. So seeing this Watkins guy, I don't see a number 1 here between either two guys. Sorry to say, here we go again. When you want to plug a hole, you want to plug the holes to fill the voids appropriately. If you don't have a number 1 wide receiver, you get one. You want to give your quarterbacks something that you give them a fair shake, that they can actually have no excuses. They have the tools to go out there and have a victory. I don't see that from what I'm seeing, and I don't see it from all of our signings all the way to this point. We had some guys that are pumped up a little more, and I do hope we really seriously think about trying to get Patrick Peterson back, because I think his leadership can be used down in the backfield. Then we got Dan Lowry from the Vikings defensive line. And the Vikings defensively tend to be a half decent squad. So this one here could be a C, and I'll give it an even keel again. I don't see the evaluations coming out of pro scouting analysis that pump any of these guys to the degree that we get the pump out of Steelers news. And we know that Tomlin is great for this. He'll put a fresh smile. He's always got a great attitude for the offseason, no doubt about it. What I'd like to see, though, change. So for me, I do not see a Pittsburgh Steelers team at this point. I am not sold. We have done enough or filled the holes appropriately. In my books, I still hope that we go into that draft and get that offensive tackle. We need to continue on to that program, at least have that line solidified. That would be good. After that, I still would be looking to make upgrades. I think there's a whole lot's got to change here. I think right now I'm with the bid places where you make your bets. I'm kind of on board with them. Right now, I'm betting against the Steelers, and this is my organization. I love our owners. Great, great family. The Rooneys are a great family. I'm a little concerned when I see Art Rooney want to put out the option of getting shareholders. That makes me wonder, is there some concern that maybe he's trying to, bit by bit, take his hands off the pulse of this team? I wonder. It's just a question mark. It makes me concerned because Rooney's always had a grip of this team, and they're an awesome. His dad was an awesome guy. Again, we got to get back to the days because, like I say, we got what we're seeing in sports now, and is a major problem. I'll get to it in a second, although I just want to finish something here. I got 2 responses in my last video, and I appreciate the responses from 2 Chicago fans, and they were very quick to take a pop shot and saying, well, if you aren't happy with Fields, we'll gladly take him back. Well, guess what? I respect your opinion. I can see the kid's talented. Talent don't mean a darn thing if you can't be reeled in and if you think you're a one-man show. And there's a reason Chicago got rid of him. There's a reason why your team you support doesn't want him. You can't go around telling off coaches in any sport. Prima donnahood doesn't win Super Bowls. So I would say if I was the guy in charge, I would have never. I would have really done my homework. The only way I would have sat down with this kid in interviews, and I would have said, if we make a trade for you, you got to understand you're coming in here, and you're going to follow what our coaches say. Don't even go near attempting to tell off a coach or your teammates. It won't be accepted here in Steeler Nation. So I don't like prima donnas, okay? It's the same thing as why I didn't like Dante Johnson with us. We had one there, and we've seen that as a problem ever since Dave Cowher built a solid team with Kevin Colbert. And this was a really solid team. He managed to get his Super Bowl before he left the Steelers and left Tomlin in a great position to win several Super Bowls. Tomlin blew that. As great of a coach as Tomlin is number-wise for winning seasons, that's great and dandy. I don't like that theology either. My theology is I want to win Super Bowls. I'm not worried about patting my stats. That's got to change. Why is it that ever since the moment Cowher left, there has been prima donnas stepping up, rearing their ugly heads from Le'Veon Bell to Antonio Brown, and everything went to garbage. And there's no reason why this football team during those years shouldn't have had 3 to 4 Super Bowls at least, the way that team was stacked. Okay, so that tells me the coaching staff didn't have a grip on that locker room. With that amount of prima donnas spouting out their heads, there's no charge of that locker room. The players have charge of that locker room. That's quite evident. So I got a problem with that. And then you get the continuation that goes on to Schuster. Then it goes on to um, the young fellow. What was his name? It's pretty bad. We traded him to the Bears. Canadian boy. Anyway, we got rid of him. And Mapletron. You know who I'm talking about, the big boy. Claypool. And there was another prima donna. So much talent, but prima donna doesn't win. Schuster, prima donna, doesn't win. Is this kind of showing you something? And then we got Dante, right? Then you got to also look now that what just happened recently with Kenny Pickens, starting to sound like he was a prima donna too. So there's a problem here. And it's a cycle problem here. Continual. And it's I know it's bigger than just the Steelers. It's a pro sport problem with the commissioners need to clamp down on these pro athletes. There's too much charge for the players to have total control and run. They can run out a coach anytime they want. So coaches come in with the attitude that Tomlin has. I got to be Mr. Good Guy, nice guy with the guys, and I'll just pat my stats. That just doesn't wash with me. So it's the same thing message to Goodell and Gary Bettman in hockey and the rest of the commissioners in pro sports. These athletes get the luxury of playing a sport that we've played or coached, and many people would love to have that opportunity of doing something they enjoy that much. It's got to stop. You guys have looked for stacking the numbers, that you let these guys have the blown out proportioned salaries, which is through the roof, astronomical, doesn't make sense. However, at least with that responsibility, the leagues need to impose, hey, we're granting you this lottery, because really it's a lottery that your paychecks are lottery amounts and beyond. You're coming into our sport, then it's time. You have a couple of demands that you have to follow, and that's you have to be coachable. You have to respect the coaches. You have to respect your teammates. And mouthing off will not be accepted. You come up and run your mouth, you're done. No more NFL career. No more NHL career. No more professional athlete. It's a privilege for you guys as athletes to have those positions. And there's an awful lot of poor examples for these poor kids. At least in my day, I had the luxury of having the Steel Curtain Group, which Chuck Knowles had that locker room like nobody's business. I don't think I've seen anybody run a locker room like Chuck Knowles. The respect, I mean, he had the superstars. Huh, your butt's sitting down if you don't want to abide by my rules and do it as a team. I mean, he sat down Terry Bradshaw at times, which might have shocked a lot of people. And he's done it to others. But he turned Terry's career the right direction in the process and the respect and admiration between them. But Terry respected him. You didn't see Terry running his mouth about him. So the only way you're going to get a winning team, you have to have that respect. A coach has to be able to come in here. And I would say to Mr. Art Rooney, I hope you're not trying to get rid of the Steelers at some point. I just don't like this share thing. But if you're trying to get your team back to the ways of your father, the way he had them in Chuck Knowles' day, be the example. If Roger Goodell doesn't want to smarten up and put something in place, implement something that these pro athletes have to settle their tushes down and follow guidelines, be the example. Your father ran the Steelers that way. Be the example. Stand up and get any players you got coming in. This is the way it's done in Steeler land. We're going to do it as a team. There will be no prima donna ways here. The moment they flare up, bye-bye, hasta la vista. That's what needs to transpire. So, with that being said, I'm sorry. I'm with these bidding places that make the bets, like Vegas. And I am saying the Steelers are going to be in the basement on this up and coming season. I love the move with Russell Wilson and others coming in. However, I think you got to give him the weapons, and I don't think that has been done. And I'm seeing a lot of mediocrity. We know Tomlin puffs wheels, and like I say, uh, I'm sorry, I just don't see it. And I think when you fill a hole, you just don't plug it with someone average. We haven't had a number one wide receiver since Antonio Brown. It's time to get one. You got to plug them with the evaluation of what your team needs so these quarterbacks can have the weapons to make these things happen. You can't expect a bunch out of quarterbacks you bring in if you're not going to give them the weapons to fire to. So I haven't seen with either wide receiver anybody that's at the number one rating. So that's where it sets with me. Thank you. That's the evaluation. I do not give us a passing grade in free agency. Yes, there's a lot of pump tires that comes out of Steelers news. I get that. But until I see the product on the field, and I don't want to see just preseason. It takes seeing regular season. It's evident we get a different product when it comes to regular season. Everybody is ready to play. So with that being said, my preseason evaluation is not great. I think we're running a C minus at best at this moment, maybe even a D. I think we will be last in our division unless something drastic. I hope we are smart enough to make the draft count and stand with getting that offensive tackle and go for that and do our best with that. And at least to improve the team, you improve the line. Then you can work on trying to improve the different positions of that afterwards. So, that being said, I thank you for joining me. A lot of people are going to cut me up because I'm going to give you the straight up honest. I'm a hardcore Steelers fan, but I'm from the Curtin era when I have an I expect I have an expectation that's extremely high from the organization I followed. So it's not at the level that we've seen the Steelers of late. It's way higher than that. You have to go back and look at those years. So with that being said, I want to thank you for joining me. Leave your comments, be respectful, have a great Easter. Take the time to think about what this holiday is about. And again, like I say to commissioners, stop thinking about the money you're putting in your pocket. At least put in some policies that have a demand for pro athletes to get to do something they love. At least they can do it without being a prima donna and a mouth organ. Coaches need to have the right to coach again. Otherwise, you don't need to hire coaches. Am I right? I'm right. It's just a face now for nothing if you're not going to fix it. So thank you for joining me. Be respectful. If you're not respectful in your comments, I will get rid of them. Like I said, I respected those two Bears comments. However, I wasn't the guy who went after and made the decision on Fields coming. I like Fields' talent. Always did like it. I know he's talented. But telling off coaches and being self-absorbed doesn't win championships. And you guys might say, oh, well, we gladly take Fields back. Evidently, the team you follow won't. And they wanted to ditch him. And no wonder they wanted to. You can't have a guy running around like a loose cannon telling off coaches. So that's going to be the first job of Omar and Tomlin, to make sure this kid's understands he can't do this anymore. So with that being said, thank you for your comments again. So like I said, if it had been up to me, I don't tolerate. That's why I was glad to see Johnson gone. So I don't like prima donna-ness. Never have, never will. Thank you for joining us at Steel Curtain, and you'll hear more from us. Hopefully we do this draft right, and hopefully we make some moves to actually solidify the team, because I don't think we're in the right direction. Sometimes a lot of changes it can make things worse. So I don't know. I know we had to make some changes, but an awful lot of changes, and get that to gel. That's a big job. But we gotta pull the reins in on the players too. Enough of prima donna-ness. It's reared its ugly head off in Steelerland for a little too long now. It's got to be contained. Thank you for joining me. Have a great Easter with your families. Take the time and go Steelers Nation, go, and God bless you.